Okay, learn to play Pendragon with me. I recently got this starter set from Chaosium. It has everything apparently that I need to know or have in order to learn to play Pendragon. I've never played Pendragon before. I've played a number of BCP, not BCP, BRP, which is basic role playing. I've played a number of basic role playing games before, like Call of Cthulhu or RuneQuest, and Pendragon follows the same suit. So it's given me a D20 here and a bunch of D6s. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the way that this works is in most BRP games you roll a D100, so roll two D10s, and you want the result to be lower than your total attribute or your total skill in that whatever the associated ability is. And so if you have a 95 in a skill, it goes to 1 to 100. Sometimes it can go more, but it goes from 1 to 100. And then if you ever roll below that, you succeed. So if you have a 95 in a skill, that means you have a 95% chance at success. Now, this one, I believe, since it gives me the D20, operates off of a D20 system instead of a D100 system. But the basic framework still works. So you want to roll lower than your total score. And so if you want to think of percentages, all you have to do is multiply by 5 at that point. But really, you're just rolling another D20. I don't know if it's because the D20s become so synonymous with TTRPGs or what the case may be, but there we have it. So I'm going to go through the rules and confirm that that's actually what we're supposed to do. And then I imagine the sixes are just going to be for damage rolls, or maybe when you roll stats at the beginning of a game, sometimes you have to roll a couple d6 and then multiply it. So anyway, I've put this up on the board: Pendragon Book 1, Adventure of the Sword and the Stone, and that's what comes in the box too. So after the initial what's in the box, it shows you, or it has, books. This one is the Soloquest, which is, the Adventure of the Sword and the Stone, an exciting solo quest, copyright, specifically designated or designed to teach the rules of the game and introduce the legendary world of Pendragon. Okay, so there we have it. There's some other things in here. Book 2, The Fabled Realm. The book intended for game masters and players goes into detail on the game setting and core mechanics. Book 3, The Sword Campaign, a detailed 5-year campaign that takes the player knights through the most important early events of the Boy King's reign: battles, feasts, larger-than-life foes, and strange creatures. All this and much more await, as well as 4 appendices, pre-gen characters, battle cards, and dice. There we go. Okay. Well, I'm excited to get going. I did also buy, just assuming that I was going to love the game, I did also buy the core rule book for 6th edition, as well as the Grey Knight campaign that came out with it. And so I'm looking forward to running those. But you don't need to know all of that information unless you want to play. Then tell me, and I'll be glad to invite you into the game. But let's go ahead and make our way through this. So, front page here, I'm going to leave that there for a little bit. I'm going to bring my character sheet up on this page once it's all said and done, and then I'll navigate through the narrative this direction, or on that panel there. So, Soloquest. The Adventure of the Sword and the Stone takes place in the fantastical world of Greg Stafford's Pendragon role-playing game. Although you normally play Pendragon with one or more friends, for this adventure, all you need is a pencil, some dice, and your wits. You're playing the part of a page, serving the household of a kindly, aging knight named Sir Ector. His manor lies nestled in the wilds of modern-day Wales, in a tiny kingdom called Penlyn. Pages are young boys and girls between the ages of 7 and 14 who learn the ways of country life by observing their elders and doing menial tasks for them. After serving as pages, most girls become handmaidens to ladies, though some may pursue a martial path and become squires. Boys almost always become squires, though the runts and third-borns of the family are sometimes sent off to the priesthood. Now that you are 14, you are among those pages at court who dream of soon becoming squires to great and noble knights. Sir Ector has 2 squires in his service. His sons Kay and Arthur, squires, study the ways of knights while they serve. I misread that. Whatever. Those who are confident in themselves, show promise, and who have the right connections may become knights. Most remain squires after age 21 and are called esquires to indicate that they are not in service to a specific knight. Kay is an accomplished squire, brave and brash, and is due to be knighted soon, as he is only too happy to remind anyone who will listen. Sir Ector says Britain will need many more knights with strong arms like Kay in the years to come. For these are dark times indeed. The land has fallen into anarchy and despair. The last High King of Britain, Aurelius Ambrosius, died 30 years ago. His brother, Uther, ruled for 15 years after that from the mighty kingdom of Logres, but never achieved the coveted title of High King. He died, along with most of the nobility of Logres, over the course of one fateful evening, victims all of foul Saxon treachery. That was 14 years ago, when you were still in your mother's belly. Except for that brief blessed time, you have never known a wholly peaceful world. Raids from the hill folk of the Cambrian interior, border skirmishes with neighboring petty kingdoms, and Irish reivers from the sea trouble your land. Particularly in recent years, Logres, they say, may fall to Saxon invaders at any time, its warlords too busy squabbling amongst themselves to mount an effective defense against the barbarians. Britain cries out for a new High King, for the return of strength, unity, and stability. But here, in Penlyn, on Sir Ector's estate, these troubles seem far away now. A brisk autumn breeze riles up your hair as you step out of the manor hall and spot Arthur and Kay getting set for quintain practice. That's a word I'll have to look up, quintain. If only you could join them. Introduction. Read the following sections to get oriented, then proceed to the first numbered passage and start reading, following the prompts based on your decisions to other numbered passages in the text. At times you are instructed to make dice rolls, both for your own character and sometimes on behalf of another. The outcomes of these rolls will also guide you to other numbered passages. Through a combination of choice and luck, you will eventually reach the end of the adventure. At that point, you proceed through a point scoring system to see just what kind of knight you will eventually become, ranging from a wandering mercenary who promises their sword to the highest bidder, all the way to a chivalrous peer of the legendary Round Table. I'm going to skip over this section here. Oh, I suppose it's probably necessary. Let's go ahead and read it then. Another time, another world. Pendragon is set in a mythical version of Dark Ages Britain. It is Greg Stafford's unique synthesis of centuries of Arthurian tales, a vision of history informed by medieval scholars and troubadours, by Sir Thomas Malory and Edmund Spenser, by romantic novelists like Tennyson, and by more contemporary visions from popular literature and cinema. All these stories have contributed to this legendary game setting. Now, imagine that it is the year of our Lord 509. Britain is a large, verdant island surrounded by turbulent seas and consisting of 5 geographic regions. The north beyond Hadrian's Wall, Cambria and Cornwall to the west and south, respectively. Cumbria in the middle, and Logres to the southeast. Some smaller islands sit off its coast, and the big island of Ireland lies just to the west. Britain is riddled with many navigable streams and rivers, and its coasts boast many fine natural harbors. Much of the land is hilly and covered in dense, ancient forests, some rumored to be haunted. Deadly beasts like the fierce British lions and panthers have kept the woods dangerous, even where crumbling old Roman roads cross them. Deeper into the heartwoods and marshes live dragons, whose occasional sallies wreak terrible havoc upon nearby settlements. Other portions of the forest are set aside as hunting grounds for kings and their followers, who fight monsters more than they fear them. The people of Britain self-define themselves as one of 5 distinct cultures: Cymric, Irish, Pict, Roman, or Saxon, and have divided themselves into scores of tiny warring kingdoms, some, like Penlyn, of no greater size than a valley. The most powerful of them all is the Kingdom of Logres. It occupies most southeastern Britain and holds 3 of the largest remaining Roman cities. Now, in these dark times, enemies converge on Logres from all sides. Her warlords vie for supremacy, and her few allies fear her imminent collapse. Pendragon Pendragon Britain is a land of adventure and danger, of scheming lords and ambitious ladies, of great passions and glorious deeds, of mysterious castles and strange hidden kingdoms, and of savage beasts lurking in the shadowy green woods. It is a fabled realm waiting for you to explore. Playing Pendragon. One moment here. Okay. There are only two types of dice used in Pendragon, the 20-sided D20 and the 6-sided D6. You use the D20 to resolve actions as well as test your character's morals and beliefs in time of crisis. The D6 is most often used to determine damage dealt in combat. The stories of King Arthur and his knights and ladies are filled with characters consumed by their passions and driven by their emotions for good and ill. Throughout the course of this adventure and later, when you play Pendragon with your friends, you'll find your character's personality at times driving the narrative in surprising directions. Much enjoyment is derived from trying to get yourself out of trouble of your own devising. This touches on the central question underlying all gameplay in Pendragon: finding out what kind of knight you really are. Glory and honor. The measure of all knights is taken by their glory and honor values. Glory is the measure of a knight's notoriety and fame. It only increases with time and is not tied to the knight's inherent moral character. Let me read that again. Glory is the measure of a knight's notoriety and fame. Okay. It only increases with time and is not tied to the knight's inherent moral character. Okay, so that's like experience, kind of. Knights like Sir Agravain or Sir Bruce sans pity are infamous for their rotten personalities and questionable behavior, but both achieve high glory values. Honor, on the other hand, may fluctuate quite a bit over the course of a knight's lifetime and is dependent on their behavior. Some actions increase honor, many others decrease it. Honor is a precious commodity and must be closely guarded, for if a knight's honor ever falls too low, they lose their status and place in society. Okay. During this adventure, you'll keep track of the actions that would normally earn you glory if you were a knight, as well as your honor values. You do this by placing checks in the boxes next to the indicated skills, personality traits, and passions. Each box may only be checked once. If you earned a check earlier in the adventure, any further instructions to check the box are ignored. After completing the adventure, you'll find instructions on how to tally everything up based on your checks and find out what kind of knight your young character will eventually grow up to become. Dealing and taking damage. As noted earlier, you roll multiple 6-sided dice to determine how much damage is done in combat. Sometimes you add a set number to the total, such as rolling 2d6 plus 4. When brawling with a quarterstaff. Other times, like when you throw a punch, you simply apply a set number of points of damage, usually between 4 and 5, depending on your size and strength. Armor protects against damage, but whatever gets through is deducted from the character's hit points. Once hit points fall below the character's unconscious threshold, the character is incapacitated. If hit points ever fall to 0 or less, the character is dying. Although combat is not the focus of the scenario, there are certain paths you may take to lead to combat. In such circumstances, you must keep track of both your own hit points and those of your opponent. Combat is not the focus of the scenario. There are certain paths you may take. Okay. You must keep track of both your own hit points and those of your opponent, as well as make all dice rolls on your opponent's behalf. Okay, that's just because it's a solo adventure. Your character. A character sheet is provided with the scenario. This is a simplified version of the standard Pendragon character sheet, representing your character as a 14-year-old page about to become a squire. You have benefited from a lifetime of active and passive instructions in the tradition of your Cymric culture, Christian religion, and the duties of knights and nobles. Give your character a name. They may be any gender, All children of nobility serve as pages, and some girls choose to then go on to career as squires and eventually knights. If you're having trouble coming up with a name, think of examples from literature or history. Some suggestions are the following. Let me pull out, I guess I should do this on here if I can. Does it have a form fillable? It does not. Well, that's unfortunate. Okay, I'm going to pull this out and start working on my character. Okay. Character name. Let's see. I'm just going to take one of theirs. Aiden. Let's go with Aiden, the first one there. Characteristics are your physical attributes. You have no notable strengths or weaknesses. How these function in play will be covered throughout the events in the scenario, but note that they are also determined by your derived characteristics, such as hit points, movement rate, and so forth. Next, look at personality traits. Often written simply as traits. These quantify and guide your character's actions. All traits come in pairs with 2 values to sum up to 20. The values of each are written opposite side of /. For instance, 13 over 7 as one trait score. The other falls by an equal amount, 14 over 6, 15 by 5, and so on. A character tends to act according to the traits with the greater value. The bold personality traits are called your religious traits and represent the values most important to your religion. Other traits, those marked with a star, are particularly important for knights. Let's see what those are. Energetic, generous, just, merciful, modest, and valorous. Okay, those are all the... Okay, that's good. Oh, let me see. What if I create a note? Will that work? So if I call this Aiden. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, maybe that's how I'll do this. That way we can all see our stats together. Okay, where was I? So energetic, generous, just, merciful, modest, and valorous are the knight ones. And what are the bold ones? Bold personalities are the religious traits, okay, that represent the values most important to your religion. Other traits marked with the star are important for knights. Got it. You may now customize your traits' values. All traits start at a base value of 10. Your religious traits each gain a bonus of 3 points. Remember, this reduces the opposite trait by 3 points as well. Your valorous trait begins at 15. Now choose one trait and make it 16. This is your famous trait, what you are known for amongst your peers. Finally, distribute 6 points amongst any of the other traits. No other trait may be raised above 15, but you are free to put all of your points into a trait if you wish, so long as it remains under 16. Okay, let's see. So we got to choose our traits then. What did they say gave us a 15 already? Valorous begins at 15, so let's make valorous down here. Valorous is 15, which means that cowardly is 5. Okay. We get to choose one trait. Does it have to be a knight trait, did it say? Now choose one trait and make it 16. It doesn't have to be a knight one. This is just what we're famous for. Now we could pursue knight traits, or we could pursue religious traits, and there's some that are neither. So like honest and deceitful are neither religious or knightly, and prudent and reckless, spiritual and worldly. Oh no, spiritual is prudent and reckless. Do we want to choose a vice to be our famous trait? I wonder. I think we should choose just for fun. I think we should be famous for something that is not good. So I don't really want to go down the lustful path, or lazy path maybe. I'm thinking. Let's see. What if we go down reckless? Is that too obvious or too common? Suspicious would be fun, but let's go with reckless. I'm going to make reckless our famous trait. So we're at a 16 there. That makes prudent for us 4. We're very unwise, unprudent. Okay. And now we have, let's see, all of your religious traits gain +3 points. Okay. Let's do that real quick. And I think this is probably because of where we're from, which is, what's our homeland again? Starts with a C. Kimrick. Yeah. So let's see. Let's add 3. Oh, wait. We're at 10 plus 3. So that's actually 13, not 3. I like Reckless. Someone was famous for lazy and it was hilarious. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's good. It would be a lot of fun, I think. Okay. All right, let's see. Merciful is 13. Modest is 13. Spiritual is 13. And temperate is 13. Okay, that leaves us with... I need to go back and make these all 7. So let's do that real quick. 7 here. 7. 7. 7. And lastly, 7. Okay. So, bold traits, religious traits represented. Nope. All traits have a base value of 10. And then valorous is at 15, then 16. Okay, finally distribute 6 points among any other traits. No other trait may be raised above 15. Okay, let's see. Should we double down on reckless and go somewhere else with arbitrary, for example? It could be arbitrary instead of just. So if we added, we have a total of 6 points. I guess we could, I don't know if we want to go all 5 in there. Let's put 3 in there, make that 13, and make just 7. But I think I want to increase honest as well, or maybe generous. Generous and reckless could be kind of fun together. And arbitrary, like I like that. Let's do that instead. So how many do we have left? I spent 3 there. That means we have 3 left. Let's go 13 on generous, which makes selfish. We're very unselfish. 7. Honest is 10. Deceitful is 10. Lazy and energetic are both 10. Trusting is 10. And suspicious is 10. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Am I missing anything else? That's all the traits. We weren't told anything about skills yet, right? Famous trait. Finally distribute 6 points among any other. Okay. I think we're all set, right? Let's use this one to continue on the reading here. Okay. Once you've allocated all your points, fill in your final trait values, remembering that each trait pair must sum up to 20. Done. Passions. After finishing with your traits, move on to passions. Passions are intense beliefs that may provide inspiration, boosting a single skill or trait for a short time. Passions are especially useful in combat or when attempting a difficult task. If traits represent your personality, passions represent the values your characters hold most dear. The most important passion is honor, and this begins with a value of 15. Did I do something wrong yet? Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong... Okay, so honor is down here. 15. Got it. This begins at 15. There are many other passions, including adoration, devotion, hate, station, and chivalry. For the purposes of your character, we focus on 3 other aside from honor: homage to the Lord, love for the family, and hospitality. These each start with 15 as well. For definition of each personality trait, look at Book 3. Oh, Book 2. Chapter 3, Book 2. Skills. Final step for customizing your character is assigning points to your skills. As the name implies, skills are what allow characters to accomplish great deeds. Each skill has a default value listed in the character sheet in parentheses. The values are increased in a variety of ways outlined below. Because you are a Kimric Knight in training, you add 3 to your charge, horsemanship, and courtesy skills. I'm going to assume they've done that for us, but let's see. So courtesy's at 7. As the name implies, skills are what you... Yeah. Kimric Knight in training, add 3 to charge, horsemanship, courtesy. Every family has a certain inborn talent for a particular skill. Roll 1d6, consult table 1, selected family characteristics to find out where our natural talent lies. Then increase the indicated skill by 3. Okay, here's my dice. I rolled a 3. Perceptive, which means that we gain a bonus to intrigue, a +3 to intrigue. Do you think I probably put my total on this number, or my total on this line rather than just the bonus, right? So let's see. Intrigue. Here we are. So instead of 7, we're going all the way up to 10 on intrigue. And then what else did it say? That we gain a +3 to charge, horsemanship, and courtesy. Let's do that right now then. So 10 here on courtesy, 10 on charge. We're a rider of Rohan, or the Rohirrim. And courtesy. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, no, I already did that one. Horsemanship, that's what it is. Oh, that's right. Well, we really are Rohirrim. Cool. All right. Let's see. Because you're knight, etc., etc. Increase the value. Now distribute 10 points amongst your skills with the limitations outlined below. These personal skill additions represent where you've put your time and attention as you've grown up at court. As with passions, not all skills are useful in every scenario. However, some skills of use only to knights. Is that a typo? Some skills of use only to knights, such as stewardship, are not included on this character sheet. Okay, that's fine. That's for the advanced character when we're not 14 anymore. As with passions. Okay, so what are the limitations? When distributing the points listed below, you must follow the rules. No skill may be raised above 15. No skill with a starting value of 0 may be increased. And the following skills may not be raised above the value of the appeal characteristic at the time of character creation. Courtesy, flirting, folklore, intrigue, and orate. So let's see, what is our appeal value? I don't see this anywhere. Of the appeal characteristic. Oh, okay. So over here, characteristic 12. So some of these can't go above 12, which is fine. Except that they force us to get a plus. Oh no, that's only at 10 now. All right. Okay. So how many points do we have? We have... Oh, but look here. Kimric can raise the values above the limitations set out above. That's good to know. We have 10 points total. Now, if we're already good on the horse. I wish I could pay more attention. Not working. Yeah, I wish you could too, but that's okay. We'll play sometime. Let's see. Now, we are reckless, but generous. We grew up in a court that was very, very religiously minded, and we have some courtesy and some horsemanship abilities. I think we need a weapon on our horse, so I'm going to go with spear for this. Spear seems... You know what? Because we're reckless, I'm going to go 2-hand hafted, right? It's like a greatsword kind of thing, or a giant lance. Because, I mean, why not? Why not leave ourselves open to a great, devastating blow? So instead of 6, we're going to add, let's double that. Let's make it 12 total, which means that we've used 6 points. We have 4 points left over. Let's add a few to brawling because we're reckless. We get into a few fights. So let's add 4 there, make it a 10. I didn't know that we were going to be creating a fighter, but it seems like we have so far. And let's go with courtesy, awareness, intrigue, orate. Let's go with oration. So we'll increase that. We added 4 there, and we added 6 there, which means 10. Wait, that's 10. So, and that's all we had. So we can't add anything else. All right. All set. All right. The adventure. Here we go. We are playing Aiden, who has a relatively strong constitution, good at riding horses, getting into battle, and is pretty reckless, but generous. Sir Ector's manor is built upon the ruins of an ancient hill fort in the country of Penland. The hall, Sir Ector's place of residence, is a grand 2-story stone building with an entrance on the 2nd floor. On this fine autumn day, with the harvest done and the air getting chillier, you are enjoying a brief respite from your duties, with your friend and fellow page, Alice. The two of you are sitting near the warmth of the central hearth, playing a game of improvised draughts using river pebbles, and the main door to the hall flies open. It is your friend, Arthur, Kay's younger brother, and his fine features are lit up with excitement. He beams at you. Kay wants to do Quentin practice, and I asked if you could join us, and he said yes. You leap to your feet. As a page, you are not allowed to practice martial skills with the squires. Kay, the senior squire of the household, must be feeling magnanimous. The game of draughts forgotten, you and Alice run outside with Arthur. The knight is, if nothing else, a mounted warrior, and the knight is most fearsome on the battlefield as part of the massed mounted lance charge. Against this unstoppable force, few enemies may stand. Learning how to ride your horse into battle takes years of practice. It requires riding at full gallop, holding a heavy shield in one hand and a long, wobbly stick in the other, all the while maintaining balance and control of the mount long enough to score a meaningful hit against a target, without falling off afterward. Squires practice their aim with a lance using a device called a quintain. These vary in construction from simple to elaborate. Sir Ector's quintain is decidedly the former, which would be simple. But it serves its purpose well enough. A crossbeam atop a post is used to hang an iron disc about the size of a man's face. The distance from the ground may be adjusted, but usually, like today, it is hung at the approximate point where a precise hit is likely to unhorse a knight. The idea is to execute a charge with a lance and try to score a direct hit on the disc, which is molded in such a way that only by striking the very center will a sonorous gong sound out. That's pretty art. As you run out onto the top stairs landing outside the hall, you see that Kay has set up the quintain and brought a small stack of rebaited lances. Their normally lethal points dulled with a cloth bundle. Your excitement dims when you see that he has also brought out a mechanical hobby horse, a 4-wheeled contraption with a saddle on top which must be pulled by 2 others in order to achieve momentum and speed. Kay seems to register your disappointment as you descend the stairs. What? Did you think I was going to get Bishop out for this? Bishop is the name of Sir Ector's charger, a fine warhorse who has seen many a battle, and bears the scars to prove it. It is enough that the whelp promised to do me any chores for a fortnight in exchange for this favor. Arthur looks abashed. Clearly, he did not want Kay to mention this part of the deal. Being an older squire of 17 winters, Arthur has many responsibilities already. Taking on Kay's tasks will mean long hours and sore limbs. In a situation like this, where it may not be clear how best to respond, you may turn to your traits for guidance. As long as the trait is less than 16, you are always free to choose how to act. However, let us see what the dice have to say this time. This is called a decision roll and has you rolling against two, usually opposing traits. It is usually obvious which traits to roll against once you become familiar with their definitions. In this case, look to your just and arbitrary traits. Someone with a high value in just has developed an objective sense of right and wrong, while an arbitrary person allows their own biases or self-interest to influence their feelings. Take a d20 and roll against the value of your just trait first. If you roll equal to or less than the value, you are said to have succeeded in that trait. Rolling the value of the trait exactly is called a critical success, while rolling a 20 is called a fumble. If you roll a critical success, put a check next to just on your character sheet. If you fumbled the roll, put a check next to arbitrary instead, as a fumble in one trait is considered an automatic success in the other. If you failed your roll against just, make a second roll against arbitrary. As with just, a critical success here grants a check to arbitrary, and a fumble grants a check to the opposite trait and is considered a successful just roll. If you failed both rolls, you must make your own choice between the two. What an interesting way to handle that. If you choose or succeeded at just, go to 3, and if you choose or succeeded at arbitrary, go to 4. Okay, that's one that we were considering increasing, but we opted to just go with the base level 10 on both. So here we go. We roll a 17, which is greater than our just value. That means we fail. So now we roll on arbitrary. We got to get 10 or lower to succeed on arbitrary. And we rolled a natural 1, which means that we succeed on arbitrary. So we go to 4, and let me make sure we don't check this unless we critical, right? If you roll a critical success, put a check. Okay, so we are succeeding at arbitrary. Let's act arbitrarily here with Arthur and Kay, and number 4. Kay is your elder and much bigger than you. You are well acquainted with his temper and know that saying something right now could set him off. You really do not want to risk losing out on this opportunity, so you remain silent. Besides, Alice has come out on the landing and is watching keenly. It would be a shame to disappoint her. Right, let's get this over with, says Kay, as he hefts a lance and hands it to you. Get up on the saddle, and the whelp and I will pull you. The lance, lathed from fine ash wood, is more than twice your height, and you must set it against the wooden hobby horse to clamber into the saddle. As you take it up and feel the weight in your hands, you set your eyes on the Quinton target. Arthur and Kay laugh as they pick up the ropes attached to the front of the horse. They are both accustomed to the intricacies of horsemanship and lance practice, so for them this is all a folly. But you are in earnest. You hear Alice give an encouraging call to the two squires. Heave to, and the horse rolls forward. The small wooden wheels skip along the uneven turf, and all you can do is try to keep yourself in the saddle. You are moving fast now, and the Quinton is getting closer. You start to lower your lance, throwing off your sense of balance. You cannot believe how much the tip is wobbling, and then make an opposed charge roll to see how you fare. To do this, roll 1d20 and compare your result to the charge skill as you did with the trait roll. Remember that rolling the exact number of your charge skill is a critical success. Rolling a 20 is a fumble. All right, our charge is pretty high. I think we have that at, is it a 10 or is it a 12? No, it's a 10. Okay. All right, here we go. We roll a 17. That's a failure. If you fail, go to 9. Try as you might, you cannot get the lance under control. It moves with a mind of its own, it seems. And you watch, powerless, as the cloth-covered tip hits nothing but air. The disc turns lazily in the breeze, caused by your passing. Unlucky, Alice shouts from the landing, but Kay laughs. Luck has nothing to do with it, he chortles. It is a test of skill, he continues, laying a meaty hand heavy on your shoulder, of which you have none. He throws his head back, braying with laughter at his own witticism. Go to 17. Without warning, the air is split with the blast of a horn. Your petty concerns and squabbles pop like soap bubbles, as you all turn to see the lord of the manor, Sir Ector, riding up from the village of Cairgai. His household knight, Sir Jonas, riding behind him. Most knights in Britain serve in the household of a lord, thus their name. They are also called bachelor knights, from bas chevalier, low knight. They are nonetheless members of the nobility, and to reach even their rank puts one in an exclusive group of warriors sworn to defend those who cannot defend themselves, and pledge their swords to the service of a nobleman or lady. Do we skip something? Let's go back. Let's see. No, it says go to... We missed. Yeah, we go to 17. Okay. So this is just, we look off in the distance and we see this happening. Sir Ector, an aging knight, looks to be in good humor. He reins his horse to a halt near where you are practicing in Hopstown. I have word that our King Moan and his court are to pay us a visit in 2 days' time, to stay with us through the feast of St. Andrew. Tomorrow we go a-hunting for boar. The king must have a grand feast of welcome when he arrives. Quinton, practice is over. A boar hunt is always an event that requires the support of the full household, and you, Alice, Kay, and Arthur rush to follow Ector into the hall and find out what is expected of you. Today marks a week before the feast of St. Andrew, and the morning dawns chill and gray. You rise from your customary bed, a soft pile of straw in the corner of the hall, that you share with the other pages, and help the squires get their hearth fire stoked up, among other menial tasks. Sir Ector is also up and moving about, preparing for the hunt in consultation with Sir Jonas. Hunting is Ector's favorite sport, and he employs a huntsman, a gnarled old specimen called Glynn, to help him in his efforts. Glynn is up in the hall at dawn, along with Day, the dog boy, to discuss the day's prospects. Considering the season, all agree that boar will be the most likely quarry, but they will not know for certain until they see the tokens. The hunt, you have gathered, has a lexicon all its own, with words like unharboring, fumes, a bay, and so forth. Although you have seen many hunts set out from Ector's Hall, this is to be the first time you are invited along on one, and your stomach is far too unsettled to take the bread and small ale on offer for the morning's fast breaking. Arrangements are made, and the hunting party assembles outside the hall. The knights and squires are dressed in their gambesons, thickly quilted cloth armor that provides some small protection against the beasts of the wild. Each carries a special spear called a boar spear, which features a long, sharp iron head and a sturdy metal crosspiece positioned about 18 inches down the shaft and intended to prevent the wild boar from running up the spear and goring the hunter. Sir Ector has spun fireside tales of companions, lost to the savagery of the boar and its razor-sharp tusks, and your blood runs cold as you think of what it would take to bring down such a wild beast. You walk alongside Dai, who has his hands full managing the estate's pack of baying running hounds. To your other side lopes Aran, the great shaggy coo, or wolfhound, who is a great favorite of everyone in Ector's household. He is as big as you, but as gentle as a lamb. His presence reassures you, for he is as brave and true as any noble knight. The air is fresh from rains overnight, and as you walk across the vale, the clouds begin breaking up, allowing some golden sunlight through. To the east, you see golden rays reflecting off the surface of Lyn Tegid, the mighty lake that forms the headwaters of the River Dee. It is said that beneath its waves lie a sunken city, and some nights you can see the lights of the buildings down in the depths. That's what Kay's always claimed, at least. You and Arthur have snuck out a few times, but haven't seen anything so far. Aside from the scattered towns and villages and their farms and pasturelands on Sir Ector's estate, most of the vale is light woodland, and you are making for one such patch of forest now. Glynn and his assistants from Caer Guy got a head start earlier, and you see them approaching, bearing the fumes, the excrement, of a boar inside the rim of their hunting horns. Sir Ector dismounts and confers with Glynn the hunter about the best approaches, the location of the boar's lair, and so forth. The air is electric with anticipation. Kay approaches you. You see he is holding a sausage link. He tears it apart with his teeth and offers you half. You should eat something. Hunts can last all day. Kay does have his moments of compassion. As you eat, he explains the different calls of the huntsman's horn, how it is used to gather the hounds, to signal the other hunters, and to announce the death of the quarry. in addition to sundry other uses. Every knight and squire carries a horn, for hunts often range over vast distances, and it's easy to get separated. Arthur has drifted over during the conversation, as well listening to Kay while leaning against his spear. "You should stick next to me and Sir Ector," says Kay. "If you get separated, just listen for our call. Once we've taken the boar, you will help bring it back to the hall." Just then, Glynn signals the finding, the opening stage of the hunt, where the beast is unharbored, and the chase begins. The hounds set up tremendous racket and nearly pull Dai off his feet as they begin to move towards the woods. The knights mount up, and Kay and Arthur rush toward their horses as well, before Arthur stops, turns, hands his spear to you. "In case you run into any trouble," he says, his face grim. You feel a wave of gratitude wash over you. It is not as sophisticated as the knight's boar spear, but it's better than nothing. Gripping the spear, you break into a trot on foot, keeping up as the knights canter towards the woods. Soon you're among the trees, the dead leaves of autumn crunching softly beneath your shoes. The bracken and branches are not so bad here, and you keep an eye on the knights as they press ahead, dogs and huntsmen in the lead. It is not long before you hear a blast from Glynn's horn. The quarry is found, and the chase is on. You see signs of movement deeper in the woods and go that way, your breath ragged in your throat and coming out in great white puffs. More horn blasts, now from multiple hunters. Dogs barking and howling, echoing among the trees, shouts fading into the distance. You look around. You are all alone. Make an opposed roll of your hunting skill versus the boar's avoidance skill of 10. You're trying to both succeed at your own roll, hunting, and roll better than the boar's outcome, if he succeeds at his avoidance roll. This is called winning the roll. If you and the boar both succeed, but he rolls better than you, then this is a partial success. If you fail your roll and the boar succeeds, this is a loss. If you both fail, this is a mutual failure, and rolling a 20 means you have fumbled your roll. For this opposed roll, there is no penalty if you fail or lose your skill roll, apart from the simple consequence of failing, but this is not always the case. Alright, so we're rolling hunting. Yeah, it's... we've got to be lucky for this one. This is a 5. 14. That is our third or fourth failure of the game. All right. If you win the roll, nope. If you manage a partial, nope. If you fail or lose the roll, go to 39. That's what we've done. We've failed. 39. You wander the woods for what feels like hours. The day is growing long. From time to time, you hear the distant call of a hunting horn and turn in what you think is the right direction. But then another call sounds from a completely different direction. You're beginning to despair of ever finding your way out of the woods when, suddenly, you spot a remarkable scene up ahead. A great, mossy rock juts from a cliffside. Under the overhang, there is a lean-to hut, its boards green with moss. A ragged hemp cloth curtain hangs in the doorframe. There is no sign of anyone about. Do you wish to investigate the hut? If so, go to 40. If you go back the way you came, roll hunting. If you succeed, if you fail, okay. I think we're somewhat impetuous, right? Impetuous. What's the word that we actually have for us? Well, we're not arbitrary. Reckless, that's the one we have. So I say we investigate the hut. There's no reason why we wouldn't. So if we investigate the hut, go to 40. You push aside the ragged curtain and enter the hut. There's a pile of straw in the corner that seems to serve as a bed, and the only other pieces of furniture are a 3-legged stool and a small cabinet, both roughly carved. The rock of the cliff overhang forms the ceiling and 3 walls. You see a cave mouth in the far wall, and you can just make out the flickering of a feeble flame somewhere within its darkened depths. The sound The sound of chanting is also discernible. I know for sure we've entered a hag's hut, right? There's got to be a witch in here. Okay, roll religion. Roll religion. All right, we got low religion, I think. Yeah, we got a 5. We rolled an 18. If you fail religion, you may decide whether to press on. For sure, we're going to go to 42 because we press on. The cave passage is narrow and twisting and nearly pitch dark. Only the light of the hermit's candles in the chamber head provides any sort of illumination. You emerge into a makeshift chapel. The chamber is shaped like a beehive, and water drips from cracks in the ceiling, soaking into the pebbly ground. Across from you is a crude altar festooned with images of Christ on the cross, the apostles, and the Virgin Mary. Many small beeswax candles burn on the nooks and railings of the altar. In front, kneeling, is a raggedy man, his head bowed. He is whispering and rocking back and forth as he does so, lost in holy ecstasy. Despite the simple surroundings, the room seems filled with an otherworldly sensation. The air seems thicker here, almost sweet. Either choose between or roll against your spiritual and worldly traits. If you roll, you may choose which to roll first. Do not roll against the second trait if you succeed at the first. A critical success means you place a check next to the trait. Okay, I'm thinking given our upbringing, we should choose spiritual, but I also want to let the dice help form our character. So I'm gonna roll spiritual, and then if I succeed, there we go. And if I fail, then we'll see if we're worldly. Oh, I rolled an 8. This is our first success. We are spiritual, but it's not a critical success, so we don't check it. All right. If you succeed at spiritual, check the trait. Oh, so I don't have to get critical, so I just check it. I'll somehow remember that. Okay. Oh, here, I can just edit this number, and I'll put check. Okay. Go to 43. You kneel and clasp your hands in prayer, listening as the hermit finishes the liturgy. You possess only the most basic knowledge of your faith. Like most members of the gentry, you only attend church on major holy days and are untutored in your letters. But you feel swept up in a moment and meditate on the effigy of Christ looking down at you from the altar until the hermit concludes. With the final Amen, he stands and turns to face you, smiling. Not a witch, it seems. What brings you to my humble chapel, my child? He asks. He is an older man, rugged-looking, with a shaggy mop of hair and a bushy beard. Something about his bearing, however, reminds you of Sir Ector. You tell him of your misadventure in the woods and of your separation from your party. The hermit listens with sympathy, then, taking up a large candle and blowing out the rest, leads you back to his cell. I can set you on the right path, he says with a twinkle in his eye, but not before I have fed you and seen to your care. He bids you on the solitary stool, then departs and is gone for a quarter hour, returning with a small basket overflowing with freshly pickled greens. I have a small garden patch near the stream, he explains. The bounty includes parsley, lettuce, and watercress, all of which I toss together in a wooden bowl. He also has a gourd filled with fresh stream water, all of which he offers you. You should have some bread as well, he says, and he opens his cabinet door to fetch a half-eaten loaf from within. Your eyes lighten upon something else, however. Inside the cabinet, a slightly rusted mail halberd and a sword in its scabbard. The hermit notices your gaze. Indeed, I was once a knight, much like your lord Sir Ector. I held many estates and had a fine wife who blessed me with 12 sons. He pauses. You think he may be on the verge of tears, but he composes himself and continues. I lost all my sons in just a few short years. The 4 horsemen
visited my hearth again and again. When my youngest, my last, when I lost him, I lost myself. I took leave of my senses and lived as a wild man in the woods for months, years. At last I found my wits again, thanks to the grace of the Lord. I saw a vision deep in the forest, a silver stag. Between its great antlers a glowing apparition, a grail covered in shimmering samite. I knew myself once again, and I knew my life's remaining years were to be devoted to holy contemplation out here in the wilds. The hermit takes a deep breath and smiles at you again. All done? Good. Let me show you the way back. Thanks to the hermit's directions, you head off in the right direction, and soon hear the sound of the mort being blown on a horn. The boar is dead. The boar lies dead, its blood soaking into the leaf-strewn ground. The barking and whimpering of the hounds forms a chorus in the background, but they know how to hold back. Their reward is soon to come. Sir Ector takes a stout, sharp blade and begins the unlacing of the beast, first disemboweling it before cutting it into 4 quarters, plus the head. Some of the boar's insides are now thrown to the dogs, while others are set aside for the forthcoming feast. Kay blows a complex pattern on his horn to signal the conclusion of the hunt. Spirits are high, and there is much laughter and singing as the parts are gathered for transport back to the hall. You and Arthur hoist a pole between you, from which hang the boar's hindquarters. You arrive at Sir Ector's hall as the sun begins its descent on the horizon, and a chill westerly wind picks up, blowing great grey clouds across the sky. Within, the hearth fire blazes, and you, Kay, and Arthur warm your hands, beaming at each other. Wash up! Wash up! Barks Sir Ector. No time for dilly-dallying. The king arrives tomorrow, and there is much to be done. The morning dawns under patchy rain clouds, and all you want to do is stay snuggled under your bearskin blanket and rest your aching muscles. Roll energetic versus lazy. I think we're on 10-10 on that, yeah? 10-10. All right, so energetic first. 15, we fail. Let's roll lazy. 19, fail both. Check the trait and get up in spite. Oh, if you succeed. We didn't. Regardless of the outcome, you are soon hard at work. Okay, let's see. I suppose if we have to choose, we'll be lazy. And if you succeed at lazy, check that instead. Takes Kay's admonitions. It takes Kay's admonitions, loudly accusing you of being a layabout, to roust you out of bed. Regardless, you are soon hard at work, attending to your morning chores. Returning to the hall around sext, which is noontime, you find the household hard at work, laying out the trestle tables and setting up the hall for the grand feast. There is a high table where the king and Sir Ector will sit with their favorite guests, and 2 other tables sit perpendicular to that, forming a rough U shape. As the boar... I know. Yeah, I guess that's... Yeah, my D20. It's used to criticaling against all my players, so... This is a new one. This is one I unboxed just from the starter box, so it can't be loaded. As the boar meats roast over a spit, filling the hall with a mouth-watering aroma, you help Kay and Arthur in setting up the trestles and benches and in laying out fresh hay on the floor. Then, Kay, entrusted with his father's key, retrieves the silver and fine linen from the lockbox in Ector's solar, and the 3 of you set out the service. Sir Jonas, meanwhile, is busy setting up the dresser, the side table where the food is prepared for presentation at the table. With ritualistic care, he sets out the pewter goblets, ewers, and hanaps. He also sets up the aumbry, a special cupboard where Sir Ector's finest platters are displayed for all to admire. These gold plates, craftily inlaid with pearls and stones, are far too valuable to be used for mere dining. You watch as Ector's tapestries, taken outside for freshening up one final time before the onset of winter, are hung up again. They depict scenes of hunting, of battle, of courtship, and the finer things of life. You have studied these tapestries many times over the years, for they hold the promise of life ahead of you, a life of honor, glory, and valor. Your reverie is broken by Arthur, who runs into the hall. The king approaches!
You know, one thing I really like about this story and this system so far is how much detail, like it's not just like it's medieval, like it's really medieval, you know? Like there's actual details here that unless you knew stuff about medieval things, you would have no idea. But just like the small details, the pewter goblets, right, which could make you sick, of course, but all sorts of small things here, or like taking tapestries outside to air them. We would never think of that, but they did. I like that. Okay, go to 56.
King Mawan of Penlyn is a young man, dark of hair with steely blue eyes and a scruffy beard, just thick enough to cover his chin. He is typical of the kings of these parts, more a tribal chieftain and warlord than anything. He has come with a small train of knights, warriors, ladies, maids, attendants, and grooms, all of whom quickly fill the hall. As Sir Ector bows the king into his hall to the accompaniment of a trumpet fanfare, offering him rose water to wash his hands and face, your gaze falls upon the most remarkable member of the king's entourage. A dirty runt of a boy, dressed in goatskins, a herder by the looks of him. He catches your gaze, winks at you, then disappears amongst the throng. Your attention is drawn by Sir Jonas, who serves as Ector's steward, an officer who oversees the estate's food, fields, and flocks. He is doling out assignments for the pages and squires. Roll courtesy.
If your lazy trait succeeded earlier, your skill is at a -5 due to Kay calling you a layabout. Well, we chose to be lazy, so I'm going to say we failed. If you succeed, check the skill. Okay, so we have a -5 to our courtesy, which is a 13 or a 10? A 10. We got to roll a 5. And we roll a natural 1. That means we succeed at courtesy. If you succeed, check the skill. Check. And go to 57.
Your spirit soars as Sir Jonas tells you that he thinks you have grown courteous enough to serve at the table. You stand by as food is brought out by other pages from the kitchen and laid on the dresser.
I don't know if we think that this is an honor. Maybe we do, but it doesn't match anything else that we've seen about ourselves yet, right?
You stand by as food is brought by other pages from the kitchen and is laid on the dresser. The roasted boar's head is its mouth stuffed with small russet apples, native to Penlyn, is the centerpiece on the high table. Your job is to prepare and serve hippocras. I know. I'm so courteous. We are so courteous. You're so courteous. Everybody's courteous. The centerpiece of the high table. Your job is to prepare and serve hippocras, a hot spiced wine popular during the colder months. You've done this before for Sir Ector at Yuletide, and go about your new duty with practiced ease. Having filled a pitcher, you begin moving amongst the knights and ladies, who keep you very busy filling their cups. The aroma of your food already out on the table is intoxicating, and your stomach grumbles resentfully. You know that you will have to wait until after the feast for your portion, but this is cold comfort as your eyes wander over roasted boar in ginger sauce, marrow fritters, meat jellies formed into the shape of Sir Ector's coat of arms, lampreys in sauce, custard tarts, almond omelettes, herb fritters, sliced cheeses and haslet, the roasted entrails and genitalia of the boar. You need some sort of distraction from all the food.
Yeah, begrudgingly courteous. That's right, we're begrudgingly courteous. Do we wish to try and impress the nobles of King Mawan's court, or eavesdrop on the conversation at the high table? Okay, so we see all this food here. We don't want to eat it. Well, we know we can't eat it. That's the problem. Do we want to impress the nobles or eavesdrop on the conversation? I'm thinking impress, but let's see. What do we have that can guide us in this? Our passions. That's not going to help us here. We're equally trusting and suspicious, so that's not going to guide us at all. What about chaste lustful could work here, but we're equal in those. Oh no, we're more chaste than lustful. So maybe we wouldn't try to impress. We're not indulgent, right? Yeah, we're temperate. We're more temperate than indulgent. We're more chaste than lustful. So really the only thing going for us to try to impress would be our reckless trait, which is what we're famous for, of course. But I think in our intrigue is a 10. I think we go and try to eavesdrop on the conversation instead.
As you move amongst the revelers, you do your best to stay invisible. This is what is expected of a page serving at a table, of course. But it also allows you to eavesdrop on the conversations of various lords and ladies. Most of the talk seems to be centering on some sort of upcoming event in the Londinium. Make an unopposed intrigue roll to find out what you overhear.
Let me double check that it is a 10. Yeah, it's 10. We roll an 11. Where's luck when you want it? Okay. If you score critical, nope. If you succeed, nope. Yeah, eavesdropping is also reckless. You're right. If you fail, which we did, go to 72. Who is this that's talking? Just random person. Random nobleman.
Sir Ector, will you fight in the Londinium tournament? Your mind wanders as Sir Ector gives his answer. Tournament? Isn't that where knights pretend to fight each other? Anyway, what of it? Londinium is so far away that it may as well be Rome or Jerusalem. It has been a month since you left home in the company of Sir Ector, Sir Kay, and Arthur, and for the entire time you have... Oh, we have passed a month.
Okay.
It has been a month since you left home in the company of Sir Ector, Sir Kay, and Arthur, and for the entire time you have endured chill wind and rain, blowing snow, leaving you wet, cold, and miserable. You have thought often of home, dreaming of warmth of the hearth and good company. Alice made you promises to tell her of the sights of Londinium, so you have that much to look forward to when you return, at least. Your journey began on the rough trail that follows the course of the River Dee out of Pentland to the City of Legions. You did not linger long in that thriving seaport, with its merchants and travelers from all over the world, or so it seemed to you, before turning southeast along the old Roman road to the kingdom of Cameliard. At Caroice Castle, you turned south, and entered the great kingdom of Logres, passing over the Chiltern Hills and through the Roman cities of Corinium and Silchester. The latter part of the journey has been unsettling, like riding through enemy territory, thanks to the constant threat of Saxon raiders in this region, since the defeat of King Nantalond of Escavalon, at the Battle of Netley Marsh 2 years ago. How much history do we want? How much of this are we going to remember? The Saxon kings of the southeast coast have grown increasingly bold. Sir Ector has had plenty to say about your current political situation during your journey. What have you managed to absorb is that the fractious warlords of Britain are doomed to fall one by one to the ambitious Saxons, and that land is in desperate need of a leader who can unify everyone. Nanteliod was the last and best hope for someone to accomplish this by force of arms. Now, by mutual agreement, a tournament is to be held at the old capital city of Londinium, on the border of the Saxon kingdoms. The winner, it has been agreed, will be named High King, with great expectations to bring the Saxons to heel. Last night you slept in the stables of Castle Staines, where you were surprised to find that the steward in service to Sir Ulfus, the famous Duke of the Vale, was himself a Saxon. Ector explained to you that the Saxons of the country of Berrock have long been allies of Cymri, your people.
Okay.
It's the kings and warlords, Saxon and Cymri alike, who visit so much woe upon our lands, he said with a sigh, staring into the hearth-fire of the great hall at Staines. You and Arthur listened attentively. The Saxons have their own style of high king, which they call a Britvalda. Their kings fight amongst themselves as much as they fight us. And our counts and dukes, inheritors of proud Cymric and Roman traditions, lay siege to each other's castles or usurp thrones from those too weak to hold their claim. Everyone scrambles for the prize, and for what? Power and wealth. That is all they care for. This morning you were already on the road when the sun came up, and the day dawned cold, but clear over frost-rimmed fallow fields and woodland. It is around midday when you first catch sight of Londinium, situated on the mighty river Thames. I guess we don't have our modern-day English accent, right? So it would still be Thames instead of Thames. The greatest city in all of Britain is stout Roman walls present. Stout Roman walls present an impressive edifice, and within you see countless rooftops, towers, and church spires, as well as the truly magnificent Basilica of St. Paul. How can so many people live so close together? Several Roman roads feed into Londinium. The one you are on, Watling Street, forms the northern boundary of the grounds, marked out for the big New Year's tournament. You see a veritable town made of tents, riotous in color, hosting many of the visiting knights and lords due to fight on the morrow. Their excitement in the air is palpable. Watling Street passes through the city walls, at Newgate, which, despite its name, is centuries old. Riding beneath the gate, you note a niche at the apex of the arc. A carven relief depicting the Trojan hero, Corineus, overthrowing the giant Gog-Magog. Sir Ector told you this story during your journey, and you reflect that ever since the arrival of Brutus and his Trojans, Britain has seen many waves of invaders from across the sea. You are shaken from your reveries by the sight of the street beyond the gate, buildings as high as 3 stories, crowd in from either side, and the street itself throng men, women, children, horses, asses, dogs, pigs, all in what seems a great swirling tumult of jostling, shouting, squealing, braying racket. "'Kay, go see about lodgings. There's a good lad," says Hector, seeming a bit overwhelmed himself. "We will wait for you in the courtyard of St. Paul, just ahead." There is little need for Hector to point out the location of the famous cathedral, for it is easily the greatest structure in the city, dwarfing even the citadel of the White Tower and Lude's Castle, the 2 great Roman stone forts on the banks of the Thames. Sir Kay and Arthur carefully guide their mounts through the throngs as you and Hector make for the cathedral. As soon as you enter the courtyard, the noise and chaos of the city seem to fade. You dismount, grateful for an opportunity to stretch your sore muscles, then begin tending to the horses. You have barely started on your tasks when Sir Ector calls you over to some sort of monument erected right outside the cathedral's massive front doors. As you approach, you see a strange marvel. A great stone block surmounted by an anvil. Driven into the anvil is a sword, still bright and sparkling in the sunshine. Sir Ector brushes aside a bit of snow on the shaded side of the block and points to some letters carved into the rock. Like most members of the knightly class, you lack clerical education and do not know your letters. Nor does Sir Ector, for that matter, but he has heard others tell of the inscription's words. It says something like, "Only the true king can pull me forth," or words to that effect. Many knights, including the best in the land, have tried, but all say that it will not budge in the slightest. If you encourage Sir Ector to try pulling the sword, or if you would like to try pulling the sword yourself, that's us, right? We're not going to tell Ector to do this. We're going to do it ourselves. So, we just go. We don't even have to roll right now. As Sir Ector strolls over to examine the relief carvings around the doors etched to the cathedral, you approach the sword in the stone. With a quick look around, you reach out and take hold of the hilt. The white leather wrapping feels cold in your hands. You pull as hard as you can, but What Hector said is true. It feels like the sword is fused with a great iron block of the anvil. That was mighty presumptuous of you. Check proud and go to 78.
If I could find proud... Oh, there it is. Check.
Sir Kay enters the courtyard.
I found an inn, with a room available, last one in Londinium. Or so the old crone who runs the place claimed. Father, I think every knight in Britain has come for this tournament.
Kay's eyes are bright with excitement, and as the shock of the city has begun wearing off, you can understand why. Save for Rome and Jerusalem, Londinium must be the greatest city in the world. The excitement is infectious. You help lead your mounts through the streets to the inn stables, get them unpacked and settled in, and report back to Sir Hector outside the inn itself.
I expect you will be wanting to see the city then? He asks. Take the afternoon to explore, but mark that you are back by supper time.
You cannot believe your fortune, as he hands you 2 silver pennies.
Just in case you find a souvenir, he says,
with a wink.
You have a few hours to yourself in one of the world's great capitals. What would you like to do? To examine the tournament grounds outside the city, or to wander the streets for a bit? I think we want to go to the tournament grounds, just because that's the most interesting probably for us. Let me see here. Yeah, I think that's going to be the most interesting. We want to be a knight rather than just an ordinary person. So let's go to 91.
To the east of Londinium proper, between Watling Street and Fleet Street, a large area of untilled fields has been marked out for the New Year's tournament. The concept of a tournament was the subject of much debate between Sir Hector and Sir Kay on the journey here. It is something new, unfamiliar, and so Sir Hector is naturally suspicious. 'Tis but a Frankish thing, a custom from the continent. He would sniff derisively. No substitute for what a proper battle. You use blunt weapons, you know. What's the challenge in that?
We use blunt weapons when we practice at home, Kay would counter. I'm rather looking forward to the opportunity to go up against some of the greatest knights in Britain without having to risk life and limb. It sounds like a jolly good fun. Besides, we do enough of the real thing. Too much, if you ask me. These tournaments, if they catch on, could be a good way for us to work out our aggressions without having to go to war all the time. Now, walking the grounds, you spot several interesting sights to explore. Looking at the tents, you note several well-known standards, flying from tent poles. Perhaps you might encounter a famous knight while walking the aisles. Then there is the market, where you see vendor stalls and some kind of entertainment taking place. Judging from the shouting and cheers as well as the barking of large dogs, you would guess it is a bull-baiting contest. Lastly, and most curiously, you spot a corral filling with your squires armed with staves. A corral filling with squires armed with staves. If you did not know any better, you would say that a fight is about to break out. Where would you like to go? Take a stroll among the knights' tents, go to the market and animal fights, see what's going on in the corral with the squires, or if I've suffered an injury and require treatment, I can go elsewhere. Or if we've seen enough for the day. We definitely haven't seen enough for the day. I'm thinking we go check out the squires because we're ready to pick a fight ourselves. Let's see. 103. As you approach the corral, you see many knights gathered around the fence, laughing and yelling encouragement to the squires within. You tug at the mailed sleeve of a nearby knight and ask, what's going on? Eh? Why, this is the Bohort. A chance for squires to have a bit of fun bashing each other with sticks.
You should join. If you would rather not get knocked out, check prudent. Nope. Otherwise, check reckless. Let's find reckless. Oh, here, let's edit this one already. Check. Otherwise, check reckless and get ready to join by going to 104. You run to the inn and grab your gambeson and helmet, donning them as you hustle back to the tournament grounds. By the time you arrive, the bohort is underway. You clamber over the fence, and a knight hands you a quarterstaff. No sooner have you turned to face the field than a much older, larger squire is coming right at you, his staff raised on high. The quarterstaff is a versatile weapon and functions unlike others, in that you get to choose which skill you wish to use to wield in combat. You may wield it like a spear, making jabbing motions with the tip, like a sword, holding one end with both hands, or as a two-handed hafted weapon, with your hands positioned approximately 1/4 of the way in front, in 1/4 of the way in from each end. How you wield determines which skill you roll. Looks like I gave us the wrong thing or thought the wrong thing when I gave us hafted, but it still works and will still apply. So let's roll with that. Two-handed hafted weapon. How you wield it determines which skill you roll against, as indicated, and how much damage you do. You may change grips in between combat rounds, if you wish, with no penalty. The spear grip is best when you are using a shield, which you do not have here, and so there is little point to using the grip today. The sword grip is the best for inflicting the most damage, and the two-handed hafted grip is best for balance between damage and protection. We really should have gone to the sword grip, huh? Okay, that's all right. We're going to keep what we have. 105. All right, we're going to roll on the two-handed hafted once it comes to it. Fights are divided into a series of combat rounds. Each is a short, elastic unit of time. Basically, the time required to think of and perform one action in melee. Melee rounds continue in succession until everyone is done fighting, either through incapacitation, death, surrender, or flight. Once you've decided on your grip, make an opposed roll against the appropriate skill based on your grip versus your opponent's sword skill of 10, as that is the grip he has chosen and will use throughout the combat. Our two-handed is 12 total. We roll a 9, which is a success, and it is better than their 10. Now, I have to recall, do we have to roll their 10? I think we roll their 10. They roll a 1, which means that they succeeded on their skill of 10 on this opposed roll, so we got a partial success. If you win, if you both succeed at your rolls and tie, if you roll a partial success, go to 109. Okay. You block and counter most of your opponent's blows. But one does get past you at the last instant. Fortunately, you deflect the force of the blow with your staff. Your opponent inflicts 2d6 plus 5 damage with his blow. It's no small amount. That's 5 damage. What do we start with? We have a healing rate of 3, but we have an unconscious value of 7. Hit points maximum 27. So right now we are at current HP 22. Nope. 5 plus 5 is 17. You are wearing a gambeson and an open helm, which gives you 5 points of armor reduction. If you're using your staff with the two-handed hafted skill, you may add 4 points of parry protection. If you are using the sword skill instead, you may add 2 points of parry protection. Spear skill does not provide any parry protection under any circumstance. Subtract your total armor and parry protection values from his rolled damage. That's 10 minus... add 4 points of parry protection and our armor. So 5 points of armor, 4 points of parry. That means a total of 9. It means he only deals 1 damage to us. I was too hasty in moving this. Then reduce your hit points by the difference. Remember that if you take more damage than your major wound threshold, or are reduced below your unconscious value, the fight is over. Major wound threshold for us. I know we didn't reach it, but I'm looking for it just in case. Just to understand. I don't see it on here. Healing rate 3, unconscious is 7, but I don't see a major wound threshold. If you take more damage than your major wound. Oh well. None of these are true. Didn't suffer major wound. No 0, no unconscious. Otherwise, return to 105 and fight another round unless you wish to yield. No. If you are at fewer than half your total HP and choose to keep fighting, check reckless. All right, let's go back to 105. We are going to fight again. We failed this one. Let's see what he rolls. He also fails. If you both fail, go to 118. With a flurry of whacking, cracking blows, you fend each other off. You circle round looking for fresh openings and catching your breath in the process. Go back to 105. Attack again. We rolled a critical success. A 10. Oh no, we have 12. We just succeeded. Dang it. We were pretty close last time, actually. For some reason, I thought we were on 10. I still think we failed. I think we rolled a 13 or something. Okay, let's see. So not a critical success. Let's see what they get. They succeed. So we both succeed. So we're going to deal more damage again as we fight and exchange of blows. So we've got a 9 armor rating, and he deals 5 plus 5 again. So we take another 1 point of damage. So we're now at a total of not 26, but 25. Okay, let's fight again. We gotta get this guy down. We succeeded. He succeeded. 6 total damage, subtracting 6 plus 5, so 11, and we're going to subtract our armor, which is, what do we say, 4 and 5, so 9. So 6, 12, 9, that's 3. I might have gotten my math all mixed up in there, but I'm going to keep it. So we lost 3 hit points there. Dang. We're not doing as good as I wanted, but let's find out. We got a 6, and they got a 2. Guys, 11 plus 5 is 16 total hit points, and we can absorb 9 of that, which means 5. Jeez. Okay, so we take 5 more damage. We're now at 20. We're not in danger of falling unconscious yet, but I'm going to treat that unconscious as also our major wound threshold. Like if we get 7 damage in 1, then we're going to we get a number 1 here, and he fails. Okay, this might be what we're looking for. So we succeed and he fails. If you win, go to 107. You manage to weave past your opponent's defenses and connect. The squire grunts in pain. Your damage depends on the skill you use this combat round. For spear, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. For two-handed hafted, brawling damage plus 1d6. Our brawling damage is 5, and we get an extra d6 on this. So that's a total of 7 damage that we deal. Your opponent is wearing a gambeson and open helm, which gives him 5 points of armor protection. If he succeeds with the skill roll, he also gains 2 points of parry protection. Subtract his total armor and parry protection values from your roll damage, then reduce his hit points by the difference. He starts with 30 hit points, has a major wound value of 15, and an unconscious value of 8. Remember that if he takes more damage than his major wound threshold or is reduced below his unconscious value, the fight is over. This will go on forever. I mean, I'm interested to see what this plays out like, but I also don't want to belabor this section too long. So I say we can pretend that a result occurred based on how we were rolling. How much hit points did he have? We only did 2 damage to him that time.
He has 30 hit points. There's no way we win this, all things told, by the end, even if our skill value is 12. So let's go with he's none of those. He's not dead. He's not unconscious. He's not half HP. Otherwise, return to 105 and fight another round unless you wish to yield. In which case, go to 114. Yeah, let's do that.
This is more than a friendly exercise. This isn't a bohort, it's a brawl. Blood and the sounds of cracking teeth fill your ears. You know there's no dishonor in yielding, and so you drop your staff. But before you can shout, I yield, your opponent has already begun his swing. Time to duck. Make an opposed roll of your movement rate versus your opponent's weapon skill.
Movement, our movement rate is 17. We roll a 14 and make an opposed roll of movement versus his weapon skill, which is a 10. He fails. Okay. We win.
If you win, you dodge under the swing. Your opponent apologizes.
If you still have more than half of your hit points. Do we? I think we do. We're at... Oh, I edited that. I think we're at 22 or something. I don't know why it didn't get saved. Oh, well. So we definitely have more than half, because we'd have to go all the way down to 13. So we have to check cowardly now. Well, that's okay. We have 15 on valor, so a check on cowardly isn't going to kill us. Yeah, why is it not saving? I think I must be barely not clicking the checkbox. There we go. Nope, it still didn't go. Okay, maybe the PDF reader is like maxed out on comments or something. Oh well. Go to 92. Oh, wrong one. Okay.
Where would you like to go?
I have to go pick up my kids from school soon, so I'm going to say we've seen enough for the day. Go to 121.
The day, which began so early and has been so full of wonders, is catching up with you at last. Your senses buzzing, you make your way back to the inn and collapse into sleep at the foot of Sir Actor's bed. Tomorrow the tournament begins in earnest. By the end of the day, Britain will have a new High King.
I want to finish this. I say we end it here. I'm going to end it here, and then maybe explore the rest of this with some more time. It looks like we know what's going to happen, obviously, because of Arthurian legend, but that was good. That was fun. I don't remember where we ended up. 102, and we went somewhere else after that. No. Oh, shoot. I'll have to find where we went. Well, that was good. That was interesting to learn how to play. Story I thought was well written. And again, I really enjoyed all the medieval details. The medieval era is one of my favorite time periods. So that was fun. It was like walking through Sir Mallory's tales, or what's the Canterbury Tales, even that. So we've got Aiden, who is becoming reckless and somewhat cowardly, perhaps, who just gets into fights and brawls, who's not a very good listener, all things told. Thanks for joining. That was fun. I'll sign off, but see you all soon.